into HCAM Sports Talk. Tom Nappy here, and right now we are joined by the Hopkinton Hillers boys varsity basketball team. We have head coach Tom Keane, as well as the captains Caleb Rahaim, Nate Kasper, and Nick Paharik. Guys, how are you?
Doing good.
Very good, thank you.
All right, well, a tough game against Norwood the other day, Coach Keane. And Norwood, very good team. They ended up getting the win in that game, and a few offensive struggles to start off, but you made a nice comeback in the fourth quarter. Could you talk about that game a little bit? Obviously, it must have not been so fun to have the 7-game winning streak come to an end.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough game yesterday in the late evening. Norwood's a very good team. They've got a great season going. You know, they're 11-2 now, 12-2 now. So, I mean, there's no shame in losing to an excellent team like that. Of course, we wish we had, played a little bit better on the defensive end, and we wish we were able to convert a little bit more, both inside and outside offensively. But, overall, I can't be sad about the effort. The effort was there right to the very end. So, we're happy with that, and we're looking forward to tomorrow night in Holliston. On to the next.
Absolutely. Coach, your team is 9-4 on the season, and you have some great leadership at the helm. Could you talk about the team this year and, of course, your 3 captains that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've got a very well-balanced team, some good guard play, some good inside play this year. And we also have good balance between juniors and seniors and actually 2 sophomores. But, I really can't say enough about the seniors, Caleb and Nick and Nate, Alex Smith and Matt Kaufman. And I'm missing one. Who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting somebody. Right. I forgot somebody. Oh, it'll come back to me. But the senior leadership has been outstanding. Owen Schnurr.
Yeah.
So, those 6 have really done a great job leading this team. They've been into it every single step of the way, every game. They've always been team first, and they've just got a wonderful spirit about them. So it's been a pleasure to coach them this year, and I look forward to the last 3 weeks of the season, and then the state tournament. Hopefully, we can get that one more win.
Absolutely, you certainly have the talent to do it. Caleb, we'll start with you. What's it been like playing with this group? How's your season going, and what's your ultimate goal for this season?
The season's great so far. I mean, we had a tough loss last night, and it stinks that we can't play them again. But so far this season, I think our best attribute is our togetherness. We're always doing stuff after practice with the team. Right now, we're at a spagger, hanging out. And ultimate goal at the end of the season was to win the TVL, but we can't now. But now it's just have a deep run in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Nate, what's it been like playing with this group? How's your season going, and what's your hope for this team in the upcoming games and heading into the postseason, hopefully?
It's been great. I mean, this team just has so much chemistry, on and off the court. Every day we're doing something. Even before the season even started, we were always hanging out, where it's basically like a family. And the goal for the season is, to just keep winning, make it as far as we can, and just keep having fun and just being able to play with these guys.
And Nick, how's your season going? And what are some of the things that you've been working on this year to improve your game?
Season's been great. I love the boys. We've kind of created a family atmosphere, kind of like what they said. And I guess some goals are to just keep winning and keep becoming closer and closer as a team.
Absolutely. So, Coach, you got Holliston coming up. You saw them once already this season. Can you tell us a little bit about this Holliston team that you have coming up Tuesday night?
Yeah, so Holliston, it's going to be a good game for us, a good test for us. They have a younger team. They have a lot of juniors, not a lot of seniors on that team, but they certainly have talented players. But we're looking forward to senior night. So we're gonna have senior night tomorrow for the Holliston game, and it's a great opportunity for us to honor the 6 seniors and really recognize all the time that they've spent, from travel basketball to middle school team to the high school team, and all the years that they've spent playing in the Hopkinton system. So it'll be a good night tomorrow night. So hopefully we can get a lot of fans out to the athletic center, and we'll be able to honor those 6 seniors, and hopefully our play will be worthy of senior night tomorrow.
Absolutely. And you must be happy to have the student section back rooting for you.
Absolutely. That's been one of the best things about this year is, getting closer and closer to what it was like before the pandemic, really, So, I've realized this year how much, I missed a full season, and how much I missed, being around the team, and how much I missed the practices and the games. And, it definitely makes you feel gratitude for being somewhat back to normal a little bit. And hopefully next year will be even more so.
Absolutely. And of course, if you can't make the senior night game, we'll have it for you live on HCAM. But hopefully everybody in town could be there to have a rowdy gymnasium for Holliston tomorrow. So Caleb, what has been some of your best memories of the season, and how have you liked playing for Coach Keane?
It's been awesome so far. Coach really holds us together, lets us know like when it's time to get serious and focus on the game. And every once in a while we joke around at practice. So it's really a great like environment. My favorite moment this season was probably either our Norton game or our Medfield game. 2 huge teams in the league, and we really we buckled down and played together and got 2 big wins.
Yeah, that Medfield game, that was a fun one. Nate, how about you? What are some of your favorite memories of the season so far?
My favorite memory was probably that Norton game. They had a huge fan section that was talking a lot. So just going in and beating them and shutting them all up was it was nice. And then that was also just like a big win on our season, and it kind of sparked our 7-game streak. And yeah.
Absolutely. Nick, how about you? What are some of your favorite memories from the season?
I personally like our first game against Westboro. I thought it was like a huge win for us, and to start off the season like that and see Coach super happy, like I thought it really brought us up and was fun.
Absolutely.
That's my alma mater there, so I was a little bit happy about that one.
Beating Coach.
Yeah, that's right. That's my hometown, Westboro. So I was excited about that win.
It gave you some bragging rights.
That's right.
Well, the girls have a big game against Westboro this coming Thursday night. Crucial game for them.
Yeah.
Coach, so I'm curious. You've seen obviously a good look at the team being past the midseason point now. What are some of the things that you're going to have the team working on in practice to get ready for these upcoming games in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah. So, we're always looking for areas to improve. For us this year, defensive rebounding is an area that we want to continue to improve upon. And we've gotten better and better and better communicating on defense. But it's still an area that we can make some improvements upon. We got hit hard by COVID early in the season, and we had some injuries early in the season. So it's still taking some time to get on-court chemistry going and rotations going. So we continue to work on that as the season goes on. We're getting better and better, but we're always looking to improve.
All right. And to the players, I'd imagine that you are enjoying having the student section back. I'm sure it excites you, having the crowd noise when you're out there. So let's have you make a plea to the people on why they should come check out this very talented Hillers team. Caleb, we'll start with you.
I mean, we're a fun team to watch. We like to get out in transition, play fast, and I think it'll be great. It'll help us out a ton if we can have some rowdy crowds to chirp the other team and keep us going.
All right, Nate, how about you?
Yeah, just like you said, we're a fun team to watch, really fast, and I feel like we have a couple highlights every game that gets the crowd going. So, yeah, having a crowd there to keep the energy up would be nice.
Yeah, like the behind the back pass, that was nice. Nick, how about you? Make a plea to the people.
Yeah, kind of like what they both said. Our team plays with some swagger, so we're pretty fun to watch, in my opinion.
And lastly, Coach, it seems like this is a close-knit group, and there's a lot of experience on this roster. This group's been together for a while, and I think certainly more than the roster last year. It must help having a team that's experienced and has played together for a little while now.
Yeah, they played together in the summertime, all summer long. They won the Milford Summer League together. And there's definitely a cohesiveness both on and off the court with this group, which of course makes it so much fun to coach and so much easier to coach when everybody's pulling in the same direction and everybody's together. So I can't emphasize enough how fun they've been so far this year. And it's just a good esprit de corps, a good feeling, when you're around them. So, I'm looking forward to seeing how much better we can get and what we can do for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Well, we're hoping for a very long playoff run. I certainly think there's enough talent on this team to do so. And Coach, I know there's a bit in the future, but are we going to have the Hillers summer camp back this year as well?
Absolutely. And you'll see some of these guys coaching at the Hillers. These guys all did a good job last year for me, and they're going to do another great job. So, yeah, Coach, I always call it Coach Bliss Camp after the legendary Coach Bliss. But, yeah, the Hopkinton Hillers summer basketball camp will be the second week in July and the fourth week of July. So after that 4th of July week. So, we had a huge number of students last year. And we look forward to having everybody back again this year. So that's for boys going into 4th, 5th, and 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th for 2 weeks. So we're really looking forward to that. And
I believe you take out-of-town kids as well, correct?
Yeah, that's been more recently. We've taken out-of-town kids as well. But, it's been filling up very fast. So I know Parks and Rec is trying to get the signups earlier and earlier every year. So you got to look for that. These guys all went to camp when they were in 3rd grade, and now they're working as counselors and working as coaches. So it's a wonderful tradition. It's really a wonderful camp to go to. So I highly encourage anybody to sign up for that through Hopkinton Parks and Rec.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be on the lookout for the signups. Caleb, Nate, Nick, you guys enjoy coaching the camp? You excited for another year coaching it?
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Nate were refs this year, and I'm excited to have my own team to coach next year, hopefully.
Now, do you all have your own teams and you compete with each other and maybe make some wagers? And
they have to pay their dues a little bit. They start out as counselors and then they go to coaching. So it always depends on what college guys are coming back and how many of those guys are coming back, whether they have to stay as refs or if they get to graduate to be a coach, So they're hoping for those older guys to move on to bigger and better things so they can coach more.
Yep.
And less flats.
Yeah, and less demonstrations.
Yeah, less demonstrations. That's right. The coaching job is a little bit better than the counseling job, I think, is what they're saying.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And the winner gets the bragging rights if you got the coaching job, right?
Right.
All right, guys. Well, we're looking forward to the rest of the season and hopefully a very deep playoff run. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
There it is. The Hopkinton Hillers boys basketball team senior night against Holliston Tuesday, and be sure to check out the upcoming HCAM broadcast schedule. We'll have all the Hiller boys varsity basketball games for you live on HCAM. On Wednesday, January 26th, Hiller's wrestling battled Norton. Here's a look. Hillers take the 41-39 win. Seb Losada, James Muzzy, Cyrus Hansen, Jari Zadie, Devin Canty, Adam DeStasio, and Jack Hoyt all had pins for the Hillers in the victory. On Thursday, January 27th, Hillers Alpine Ski took place. Here's a look.
One on the red course, number 18, Margaret Cage from Hopkinton. Time for number 919, Brian Marcetti, 31.42. On the blue course, number 519, Liam Johnson from Westbrook.
The Hiller girls Alpine Ski team had a second place finish, while the boys team finished 7th. On the girls' side, Clara Niss finished 6th overall, Libby Herlahai finished 14th, and Lila Mado finished 15th. On the boys' side, Jack Lacoche finished 13th, Matthias Niss finished 26th, and Sam Lagoy finished 49th. Hiller Alpine Ski continues to just get better and better. Congratulations to Kate Powers on winning the weight throw at the prestigious Millrose Games in New York City. Kate Powers just continues to rack up the prizes in indoor track and field. On Friday, January 28th, Hiller boys hockey battled hard, but fell on the road to Medway 3-1. Also on Friday, Hiller girls basketball fell in a close one to Medway 52-47 at home. Kiki Fossbender had a team-leading 14 points in the game. Boys hoop was in Medway Friday night and took the 51-40 win. Jack Iannelli had 12 points for the Hillers in his first varsity start. Sam Pantera dropped 15 points in the win. Also on Friday, January 28th, Weston boys swimming captured a 91-78 win over Hopkinton. The Hillers had a number of swimmers qualify for the sectionals, including Caleb Burke, Sean Haley, David Pishoff, Tyler Fallon, and Kevin Gu. Girls swimming also fell to Weston in a close one, 91-84. Tess and Eve Weatherhead finished first and second in diving. Eve turned in her best score of the season. On Monday, January 31st, Hiller girls hockey fell to a very good Norwood team 6-1. The girls hockey team, who has been short-rostered as of late, continues to improve and keeps games competitive. After a tough loss to Medway, Hiller boys hockey turned it around on Monday and took a 4-2 road win versus Holliston. Callum Greenwood, Drew Morse, and Joe Scardino all had goals for the Hillers. Callum Greenwood netted 2 goals overall in the victory. On Tuesday, February 1st, Hiller girls and boys varsity basketball hosted a doubleheader versus Medfield. Game 1 featured the girls matchup. Both teams went back and forth in the first quarter. Lost better to Cho.
Show back to Fossbender, sends it over, up for three, and good is Carly Hedstrom. Feeds it over, Hedstrom for three.
Oh, she's feeling it, man.
Feed her the ball, and Medfield needs a timeout. In 11-5, Hillers lead.
A 16-15 first quarter in favor of the Hillers. But Lily Cumming for Medfield started knocking down some threes for the Warriors in the second quarter.
Beautiful shot. She's got a great arc.
Here comes Sampson. Feeds it over to the corner. Cumming responds nicely.
Wow. It's a shootout here.
Back. Rolling it back to Sampson. Now to the corner. Cumming for three. Got it.
Wow.
Feeds it over to Sampson. Maybe someday. Long three, got it!
Boy,
Lily Cumming, what a way to end the first half.
Lily Cumming tallied 11 points in the second quarter, and Medfield led at the half 33-24. The Hillers struggled to get the offense going during the game. Medfield outscored them 12-7 in the third quarter, and that would be enough to help Medfield to the 54-41 win. Kiki Fossbender had a team-leading 14 points for the Hiller girls, who fall to 5-5 on the season. In part two of the doubleheader, the boys took the floor. The first quarter featured a number of momentum shifts.
Katsikaris feeds it over. Cronin running out of time on the shot clock. 10 seconds. Up and no good. Great block by Marazimi.
Yeah, great block. They got a guy down low back door, and Marazimi's able to recover for the block.
Pantera with the bucket.
14-10, Medfield leading heading into the second quarter, and the Hillers offense really picked it up.
With it is Kasper driving in. Over to Diesenroth, and he finishes. Grab the loose ball, kicks it out. Up for three, Paharik. And it's no good. Diesenroth with the rebound, and he puts it in. Kasper over to Rahaim, up for three, and he responds. Here comes Hyman. Hyman, Kasper, yes.
6 different Hillers net points in the second quarter as they outscore Medfield 21-12 and took a 31-26 lead heading into the halftime break. Medfield struck back with vengeance in the third quarter.
Lawson, back to Cronin, driving in, and back he can't finish. Put back, count it.
Medfield outscores Hopkinton in the third frame, 15-10, and the game was tied at 41 heading into the fourth quarter.
Diesenroth thought about it. Diesenroth gonna take it. Got it!
There's a big three-pointer.
In the fourth quarter, free throw opportunities and some great offense helped set the Hillers apart.
First front end of a 1-and-1, got it.
Hopkinton outscores Medfield 17-10 in the fourth quarter and takes the win 58-51. Nate Kasper dropped the team-leading 17 points. Cole Diesenroth chipped in with 11 points, and Sam Pantera had 10 points in the win. The Hillers were nearly perfect from the free throw line, knocking down 20 out of 25 free throw opportunities. Hopkinton and Medfield are now both 9-3 on the season. Hello, everybody, and welcome in to this segment of HCAM Sports Talk. I'm Tom Nappy, and joining us on the show today, we have Andy Barron from MyFM 101.3 and TVL Sports.net and HCAM contributor Steve Watson. Guys, how are you?
Very good, Tom. Happy Super Bowl week. Finally, we can get this game on because, as I was telling Steve before we came on, not a very good week for the NFL last week.
No, not very good at all. All kinds of lawsuits flying around from Brian Flores and
bribes and just, oh God.
Yeah, who was Kamara was just arrested.
He got arrested in Las Vegas in a nightclub. Yeah. I mean,
who gets arrested after the Pro Bowl? Seriously. Unbelievable.
Who thought having a franchise in NFL? Yeah, that was a good idea, huh? I mean,
yeah. Unreal. Yeah, bad publicity central for the NFL. Surprisingly, no Raiders stories though.
Yeah,
You got to think one of those is coming soon.
probably. Yeah.
Well, in this segment, we're going to be previewing the upcoming Super Bowl between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams. And we did pick some stuff last week. We'll run through all the picks again. Andy wasn't with us last week, so he'll have to make his picks today. But just some fun facts about this upcoming Super Bowl. It's the first time in Super Bowl history both teams are 4th seed or higher. And both teams are indeed 4th seed teams. That's the first time that's ever happened. The Bengals made the playoffs several times between 2005 and 2015, and they lost in the wild card round every time. They have finally broken through that dreaded wild card round stage. Cincinnati Super Bowl history, they were in the 1981-1982 Super Bowl. It was a 26-21 loss to San Francisco. They were in the 1988-1989 Super Bowl, 20-16 loss to San Francisco. And it almost was a third time against San Francisco this year, but they ended up losing to the Rams. Could have been a third time's a charm kind of thing, but that won't be the case. Rams Super Bowl history in 1980, the Los Angeles Rams lost 31-19 to Pittsburgh. In 2000, they were in St. Louis at that time. They defeated Tennessee 23-16. In 2002, they lost to the New England Patriots 20-17. And in 2019, it was another loss to the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. And it was the LA Rams at this time. It was a 13-3 loss. Cincinnati, first team in NFL history to overcome a 10-plus point deficit multiple times against the same opponent in an NFL season. And that's what they did against Kansas City during the season and in the AFC Championship. So there are some fun facts about the Super Bowl. Before we get into making some spread picks, what are your overall thoughts about this upcoming matchup, Andy?
My thoughts are that the two best teams are playing. I know that both games were very close in the AFC title round, but my thoughts are that I just believe this is the Bengals year. To see the way they beat Kansas City on the road, down by 18 points in one of the most hostile places in the NFL, unreal. And I remember I was telling everybody in the group text that I said the Bengals were wearing down the Chiefs offense, and they did. And they baited Mahomes into making mistakes. And this Bengals defense, guys, doesn't really have a lot of household names, but they are very physical, very tough. They just made Patrick Mahomes' life miserable in that second half. And I think we got to start giving Zach Taylor some credit. Now, don't forget, he was the quarterback's coach under Sean McVay the year they lost their last Super Bowl. This guy obviously knows what he's doing. The Bengals aren't going anywhere. I know people keep saying, well, it's Cincinnati. No, Joe Burrow is legit. This guy doesn't get rattled. Let me tell you, he doesn't. But the same can be said, Matthew Stafford, he's really tough. Like, now he makes mistakes a lot, but you got to give him, he's a tough QB. Anybody that can play for the Lions for 10 years, okay? How do you think the Lions fans feel now knowing that we had this guy and he very well could win a Super Bowl? It's probably the closest they're ever going to get to winning a Super Bowl. But I like the Bengals. I just think it's their year. The Rams are a weird team sometimes too. Like, they seem like they're really prone to making a lot of mistakes. And Sean McVay, yeah, he's a good coach, I guess. I still think the school's out on this guy. He got schooled by Bill Belichick the last time in that Super Bowl. You have to admit that. So if he loses another one, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I think Sean McVay is one of the best coaches in the league, to be honest with you. And a lot of people think that you need a good quarterback to make the Super Bowl. But I think McVay just proved that coaching actually has a lot to do with getting to the Super Bowl. If you think about it, he took Goff to a Super Bowl. And
that's true.
Goff was nothing special.
No.
And now you have Stafford, who's never really done anything in Detroit. He's put up some good numbers, had some good games, obviously been on a lot of terrible teams, but it's his first year here. And guess where the Rams are? They're in the Super Bowl. And the Rams are a well-built team. They have great offensive weapons. They have a great defense. And they're one of those teams that I think could take just about any NFL quarterback to the Super Bowl with how well-built they are. And they are obviously well coached. I know the Rams lost to the Pats in the 2019 Super Bowl, but McVay always seems to have them in there. He always seems to have them in the NFC Championship or close to it or going deep in the playoffs. And it's a second time in the Super Bowl in the last 3 seasons. He's been the head coach for 4 or 5?
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
So it's pretty impressive to me
So,
what McVay has done with this
2
team.
appearances in 5 years. I'd say that's solid.
Oh, it's solid. No doubt about it. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, what was that call? Like, well, I mean, I guess look, every coach makes mistakes, but Matthew Stafford is better than Jared Goff. I think we can admit that. I mean, I mean, it's night and day. So yeah, the Rams got a shot here. I just there's something about Joe Burrow. I don't know what it is, but he just seems to have it. And I know it's still very, very early, but you've got to be impressed with this guy. I mean,
absolutely. It's essentially his first year in the league. He was in the league last year, but he was injured all year. So it's his first year really playing. And for him to take a Bengals team on his back, and he had a lot of help from guys like Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd and defensive guys like Sam Hubbard and Troy Hendrickson. But for him to take this team to the Super Bowl and really his first year playing in the league, that is impressive. It's going to be a very interesting matchup. I don't know what way this game's going to go. If I'm looking at the matchup, I'm looking at the two teams. I think the Rams are a better built team all around, but I think Bengals definitely have the quarterback advantage. I think Burrow's better than Stafford. I don't think Stafford's bad. I think he's a decent quarterback, but I think Burrow's going to end up being an elite quarterback in this league for many years to come. As long as they get him an offensive line that doesn't get him clobbered every game, that would be nice. But I think he's certainly a special talent. The Burrow to Chase combination, we've been talking about it all season. It is absolutely deadly. And I almost feel like, it is the Bengals year. I almost feel like it's a Destiny's Darlings type of thing where the Bengals just seem to have it, all the momentum on their side going into this game. It doesn't matter that the Rams are probably a better overall team on paper than them, just like it didn't matter that the Chiefs were. I think it is their year, but I do believe that this Rams team is really talented. They're really well coached, and I think there's going to be a heck of a game. And the one thing I fear is that Rams defense, especially up front, can be deadly. So the Bengals are going to really need to try to protect Burrow, which they haven't been great at. They've been better this year than last year, but that Rams defensive front could give them big problems. This is a really intriguing matchup. Steve, what do you think going into Super Bowl Sunday?
Well, before I give you my thoughts, I have another fun fact to add. Now, the Bengals have 2 walk-off wins this postseason, right? There's only one team besides this year's Bengals in the history of football with 2 walk-off wins in the postseason.
Patriots
in 2001.
01, yep.
That team won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So there's a lot of parallels. Pats hadn't had much success. Young quarterback. Bengals haven't had much success. Young quarterback. So they're not exactly the same. I'm not saying Joe Burrow's gonna be the next Tom Brady.
Was
but
Pittsburgh a walk-off win in 01? Was Pittsburgh?
No, they won in regulation. They won by a touchdown.
The Raiders on a walk-off in OT. They beat the Rams as time expired.
Well, a walk-off win could be a field goal in regulation in the last second to take the lead and win.
Right. As long as there's no time left. Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah, so 2 walk-off wins. So,
I'm
on board with you guys. I think this is just the year for the Bengals, and I would have to agree with Andy. I think the Rams are mistake-prone. They're a very good team. They're very talented, but there's been some games this year where you just shake your head and you're like, how dumb can we be here?
They almost lost to Tampa Bay. They probably if they lose that game,
they probably should have, honestly.
If they lose that game, Tampa Bay's probably in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. They were way up in that game and just it was one mistake after another.
unreal.
Cincy has played relatively clean.
Yeah, for the
if
most
it comes
part.
down to one mistake or two mistakes, I think the advantage goes to Cincy in this one.
The only thing that concerns me, Steve, is the Bengals' offensive line. Tom made a good point. That Rams front seven is very good. So they're going to have to tighten up because Joe Burrow cannot get sacked 9 times again.
No, I will guarantee you this: if he gets sacked 9 times, it's going to be a long night for them. You cannot have that happen again.
Because this team's better than Tennessee. I think we.
Yeah. The only reason why you beat the Titans, despite your QB getting sacked 9 times, is because Ryan Tannehill had 3 picks. And all 3 of them were.
And they still want him. They don't want Aaron Rodgers, apparently. So,
well, we'll revisit that conversation in about 2 months and see if their tune changes. But
yeah,
and you had a point about Sean McVay too. I think he's a very good coach. I do, and a lot of his assistants have gone off and gotten jobs. So, it's a strong tree. He's been only been head coach for 5 years. I think he's one of the better coaches in the league. Zach Taylor, this is only his first time making the playoffs, so I think the jury is kind of still out on him.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. With Matthew Stafford, if the Rams lose, then he's no better than Jared Goff because they both have a Super Bowl loss.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like, is this Matthew Stafford's last chance? I mean, he's getting up there in age too.
Right. He's been playing since 2009, I think he was drafted.
It's just unreal, honestly, that he's been playing that long.
Yeah, and to last all that time in Detroit and not lose your mind, God bless him.
Yeah, I think this might be his best chance. He certainly has a chance as long as he's on the Rams, because I just think that team.
Oh yeah, because if you're in Detroit with some of the rosters they had, your chance is non-existent.
It's just almost like I think the guy's talented. I actually think he seems like a decent guy too. Like he's been through a lot in his career. He's got a hell of an arm too, man. That guy.
Oh, he does. Throw. Very strong arm.
And like I said, yeah, I don't know. I mean, another guy too. I want to hold on. Get back to Sean McVay. Yeah, I agree. He's one of the top 5 coaches in the league. There's no doubt about it. Compared to some of the other just horrible coaches there are in this league.
Oh, there's some coaches who have no business being head coaches.
Exactly. No, he's good. He's good. And if I guess if the Patriots ever announced that he was going to be our next head coach, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I mean, he is still pretty good. But I don't know. It just Zach Taylor does know him well, so that's why this is a very intriguing matchup.
Yeah, I think there definitely won't be any secrets in this one. McVay knows Taylor pretty well. Taylor knows McVay pretty well. So, if one's going to try to fool the other, I don't think that's going to happen.
Right. And just think of this way too. Reverse the quarterbacks. If Joe Burrow's on the Rams, I think this game's a blowout.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think probably Rams by 2 scores.
Yeah. Because I think he's just that much better than Stafford. But Stafford is tough. I will give him that. He's a tough quarterback.
He definitely is. He can take a hit.
With Joe Burrow, the Bengals have trailed in so many games this year late. And even the ones that they've lost, they've still come back and had a shot to win.
Here's the other thing, gentlemen. How can they stop Cooper Kupp? I don't know if anybody can stop this guy.
Triple team him.
I still don't think they can stop him. He is so good. Like I've never seen anybody like this guy. Really, he's just head and shoulders above. And I love Jamar Chase. I think he's an incredible talent. But Cooper Kupp, this guy just takes it to another level.
Yeah.
Maybe they should put Chase out there as defensive back and have him guard Kupp.
Guard Cooper Kupp.
And how Tampa couldn't stop him. Those final 2 plays of that game, like you know exactly where the ball's going, and yet you still can't stop him anyway.
I've never seen anybody like this guy, really, honestly. And there's a lot of great receivers in this league. With Chase is one of them, Tyreek Hill, obviously, Michael Thomas if he's healthy, but Cooper Kupp is he's on a completely different level.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I would say Hill's right up there with them. They're on a different level themselves. Because Hill could be just as unstoppable at times, but Kupp never seems to drop the ball either. He has just amazing hands and crazy speed after the catch, obviously.
Oh yeah, he's impossible, and he's big. Like he is so tough to bring down. Like I think it's, and you got to understand too. Like The other thing about the Rams is they have really, really good receivers, but Tyler Higbee, a very good tight end. And I know he got banged up that last game. I think he's going to play this week, but he is another really, really good player. I think this is going to be a high scoring game too. I think both these offenses can move the ball, and it's going to come down to who makes that final stop. I really believe that. And field goal kickers, Bengals have the advantage.
Yes.
Oh, definitely. That rookie is sensational. 12.
McPherson, he's been very good all year.
Yeah. Yeah. And how about another running backs? Sony Michel could be a real wild card in this game. He is a different player on this team. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know why they haven't been using him as much, because I think he's better than Cam Akers. Cam Akers is a fumble waiting to happen.
And we're going to get to some of the individual players because we got some props here we're going to decide on. So we'll kind of talk about some of the individual players as we're going through these props. But just to recap last week's picks that we made, and Andy, you'll make them this week since you weren't here. We first picked who's going to win the Super Bowl, Bengals or Rams. I picked Bengals. I'm sticking with it. And by the way, Steve, if you want to change any of the picks you made, you're welcome to as we go through them. Steve picked the Bengals to win. Jared picked the Rams. Andy, who are you picking to win?
Going with the Bengals. I think it's going to be a really good game. I just think it's their year. I don't know. They just seem to have it. I mean, so impressive in how they beat Kansas City. That really was impressive. I mean, just to do it in Arrowhead Stadium is just wow. And real quick, if you're the Chiefs, you're looking up to this team right now. They're better than you, plain and simple. I mean, that sealed the deal for me. I'm going with the Bengals.
And they didn't prove it just once. They proved it twice. Season and the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, you're going Bengals to win, so obviously you're going with them on the spread. Bengals are 4.5-point dogs. That is still the spread. And actually, a lot of the money is going on the Bengals. So it could end up going to 3.5 if all the money keeps coming in on the Bengals. Over under 48.5. I went under, and I think it's going to be right on the cusp. I think Vegas nailed this one as usual. I think it could be a 48-point game, 27-21. Part of me says 27-24. I really don't know. I mostly went under because everybody else went over, but this could really go either way. I think there will be some defense involved in this game because both teams do have good defensive players, but I do picture some points being scored. Steve, you went with the over. Jared went with the over. What do you think, Andy? Over or under 48.5?
Over. Going over. I just think the offenses are too good on both sides, really.
Yeah, I've gone over all season. It's backfired, but I'm changing to over. I can't see this game being below 50 points. I just can't see it. I mean, both teams, they have good defenses, but I don't know. I think it's going to be 27-24 Bengals final. All right. So now we get into some of the props. Los Angeles Rams pass completions over under 24.5. I went over. Steve went over. Jared went over. What do you think? Over under 24.5.
Over. Going over.
All right. And he did have more than that last week. I can't find the stat, but it was more than that. Rams pass touchdowns, passing touchdowns over under 1.5. I'm going to say over because while they run the ball here and there, I think, you got Cooper Kupp, OBJ, you got to have a couple touchdown passes in there. I said over. Steve said over. Jared said over. What are you saying, Andy?
Going over. The Rams receivers are just too good. Another guy too, Van Jefferson, another guy you got to watch out for. Very talented receiver.
Yeah, they're just loaded with weapons. Rams passing yards over under 279.5. And just to give you a little insight on the stats last week against Kansas City, they had, where are my quarterback stats? Here they are. They had 250 yards. Or no, that was Cincinnati that had 250 yards. The Rams had, it was right around 275 or something like that. I'll try to dig it up, but it was right around 275. So Vegas has certainly nailed these over-unders. Oh, okay. Actually, no, I lied. It was 337 yards, so it was well over this. So Rams passing yards over under 279.5. I went over. Steve went over. Jared went over. Andy, I assume you're going over?
Yeah, I'm going over. I'm gonna go over.
All right. Cincinnati passing touchdowns over under 1.5. I went over. Everybody went over. Me, Steve, and Jared. What do you think, Andy?
Over.
All right. Cincinnati passing yards over 276.5. This was the one that was close. Burrow actually only had 250 yards passing against Kansas City. And the over-under this week is 276.5. I actually went under on this one. All three of us did, Steve and Jared. What do you think, Andy?
I'm going to go under as well. I'm going to go under.
All right. Cincinnati passing completions over under 24.5. Against Kansas City, he had 23 completions. And it's 24.5 here. I went under on this, and so did Steve and Jared. Everybody went under. What are you going to do on this one?
Over.
All right.
On a limb.
This one's going to be, well, I'm already kind of in the lead, so I don't have to be different. But this one's going to be, I don't know what's going to happen with that one. That could really go either way. All right. Combined interceptions by both teams, over under 1.5. I went over. I think each team will have an interception. Steve went under. Jared went over. What are you going to do?
Over.
All right. There it is. All right. Now we have a whole new set of props that I got for this week that we'll all pick on. There's certainly some interesting ones as usual. Rams over under 36.5 pass attempts. Just to give you a little insight, the Rams had 45 pass attempts against the 49ers. I think there'll be a lot of passing in this game. I'm going to go over. Steve, what about you? Over under 36.5 pass attempts for the Rams.
I'll say over.
All right. Andy.
Over.
Over it is. All right. Cincinnati pass attempts over under 36.5. Burrow had 38 against Kansas City. I'm going to go under, since I think Cincinnati will probably run the ball a little bit more in this game. Steve, what about you?
I'll go with the under.
All right. Andy.
I'm going to take under as well.
All right. All in agreement. Longest reception for Tyler Boyd of Cincinnati. Over under 17.5 yards. I think he's going to be right around there on his longest reception, but I'll say under. Steve, what about you?
I'll go with the over.
All right. Andy.
I'm going to take the over as well.
All right. I think he's going to have a 17-yard reception. I think Vegas is probably going to nail it.
I hope he doesn't. Hope it's 18. Yeah.
Longest reception, Cooper Kupp, over under 29.5. Well, I think the Bengals are going to be watching him. I think somewhere he's going to have a 30-something yard touchdown. So I'll go over. Steve.
I'll go under.
All right. Andy.
I just can't bet against this guy. He's just too good. I gotta go over.
All right. Watch, he'll probably have a 29-yard touchdown reception or a 29-yard reception. Longest reception. It's gonna Vegas somehow nails these. They're getting better and better at the props. They used to be bad at them.
Hey, yeah. It's run by a lot of smart people out there. So
it is. That's why we're not involved. Longest reception by Jamar Chase, over under 27.5. I think he's going to have a 37-yard reception. I'm going over on that one. Steve.
Over.
Andy.
I'm going to go under.
All right.
I'm going to go under.
Chase is going to be special. Love watching that guy. Receptions made. Jamar Chase, over under 5.5. I think he gets 6. I'll go over. Steve.
Over.
Andy.
Over.
All right. Receptions made. T. Higgins, over under 5.5. I think when Chase is being guarded heavily, Higgins seems to be the guy.
It's a good player.
Go, he's like the dink and dunk pass kind of guy. So I'm going to go over on that one. Steve.
I'll go with the under.
All right. Andy.
I'm going to go over.
All righty. Receptions made, Cooper Kupp, over under 8.5. This is a tough one. You just can't stop the guy. I'm going over. You can only hope to contain him. Steve.
Over.
Andy.
I'm going under.
So he's going with 8.
Yeah.
It could be. It could be. I could picture, that's what I was thinking of. Is it going to be 8 or 9? It's going to be in there. I think the most he'll have is 10 or 11. Receptions made. Odell Beckham Jr. over under 5.5. He doesn't normally make a lot of receptions. He makes big receptions, but actually in the playoffs he has. He made 9 against San Francisco. I'm going to go over. I think it'll be a big part of the game plan. Steve.
I'll go the under here.
All right. Andy.
He's playing really well, Odell. I got to give him credit, but I'm going under.
And Odell's a drama queen, but you bring him to a team that takes him to the Super Bowl and he's having success. He clearly likes where he is right now.
No doubt. Yeah.
Rushing yards, Cam Akers, over under 63.5. This one's really tough for me. Let's have Andy go first on this one.
Under.
All right. Steve.
Under. I think they'll mix in Sony Michel a bit, and you won't see as many yards as you normally would for Cam Akers.
Yeah, Akers has been too beat up. I'm going to go under. I think he'll be in the game, though. He'll probably get 63 yards. Joe Mixon rushing yards, over under 62.5. I think they're going to run the ball a little more than usual, so I'm going to go over here on Mixon. Steve.
Over.
Andy.
Going over.
All right. And we'll do that one last. All right. Rushing yards. Joe Burrow, over under 11.5. I'm going to go. I think he'll have a couple, he'll have 3 or 4 4-yard runs. I'll go over. Steve.
I'll go with the over. I could totally see him having a 15-yard run on 3rd and 12 or something like that.
All right. Andy.
Going over as well.
All right. Rushing yards. Matt Stafford, over under 5.5. I'm going to go under because, if anything, I could see him having negative rushing yards. Steve.
Same here.
I'm
Andy.
going under too. I hope they don't snap the ball over his head like they did in the Tampa game. Yeah.
That would be great.
Oh, God.
Rushing yards. Sony Michel, over under 20.5. I'm going over. I think he's going to be a pretty big part of the game plan. Steve.
I'll go over, and I'll even go further than that. He'll have more than Cam Akers will.
All right. Andy.
I'm going over as well. Sony Michel is going to be a big part of this. I think big part of this game.
Yes. He was, what did he do against 49ers? I didn't write down his individual stats, but he was pretty big part of the game plan. But I think they seem like they're implementing him more and more as the playoffs go on. So I think that'll be the case.
He has Super Bowl experience, and he's not as fumble prone.
Right.
Cam Akers is.
Yes.
Good player. He's a good player. I mean,
he definitely is. And I think he's in a system that he likes. And he's the second guy in this system. I think it's the perfect place for him, for Michelle. All right, so now the prop we've all been waiting for. What's the coin flip going to be? Heads or tails? Andy, you could pick first.
Tails never fails.
All right, Steve.
What he said.
I'm going to be different. I'll go heads. It's probably going to be tails, but yeah, you know what the funny thing was about the Bengals Chiefs when they went into overtime? Bengals called heads. And there was this whole thing about heads was called the week before by Buffalo. And I'm thinking to myself, why didn't he call tails? Why didn't he do it? But it worked out. Defense got the stop. Well, believe it or not, we're out of time. It's a shorter segment today. Thanks to Coach Tom Keane for coming on and talking some Hillers basketball earlier in the show. Always great to talk to him. Hillers having a great season. But guys, any final thoughts? Andy, we'll start with you.
Yes, final thoughts for me. As we said before we came on the show, it really was a terrible week for the NFL. And I'm going to say this once, okay? If these allegations are true in Miami, that Stephen Ross did indeed try to pay Brian Flores off and was fixing games, he needs to go. It's time for the NFL owners to step up. And same thing with Jimmy Haslam, Daniel Snyder as well. Enough. I am sick and tired of this. I am sick of Roger Goodell covering for these guys. We are tired of the jig. It's up. Anything like this, goodbye.
Love it. And we'll talk more about those issues in the upcoming weeks. Since football season will be over, we'll have more time to dig into some of these issues that are happening. But yeah, hopefully there'll be no more issues. It was a bad week. Hopefully Super Bowl week goes well. Steve, any final thoughts?
Yeah, to build on that, if even a shred of that is true, anyone involved should be banned for life. No questions asked. And that's the end of the story. If someone is being paid off to rig the outcome of a game, to lose on purpose,
oh yeah,
not acceptable. That tarnishes the shield. And honestly, I really don't care about the shield because I don't care about Roger Goodell or anyone in the front office, but that is just deplorable if that's true.
You know, there's so much money in football, you wouldn't think this would even be an issue.
No, you wouldn't think so. And obviously the news came out today, the whole Deflategate thing, as all of us have said from day one, was a total sham. Roger Goodell is a horrible person, and Troy Vincent might be even worse than him. Hopefully he never becomes the commissioner.
And real quickly, too, the whole thing that's going on in Washington with Daniel Snyder is a disgrace.
It is. That whole franchise is a disgrace.
Yep.
Enough. It's just, we're sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
Washington fans should just strike against that team and just not go.
Well, they've been doing that for 20 years. We went down there 3 years ago. Tom was all Patriots fans.
Well, yeah, that's true. But, there are still some Washington fans going. And I understand you love football. The tickets are cheap as dirt, but don't do it. They don't deserve your money. They don't deserve a penny. They're a disgrace. Commanders. Awful.
Commanders. Come on.
The raw sewerage, coming out in week 1. Yeah, there you go. Great organization. Then the whole thing that happened with Jalen Hurts, with the fans falling down, no apology, or nothing. What? It's a joke.
There really is. And, the NFL should be embarrassed in general. Like, why would Goodell want that kind of dysfunction in his league?
They don't
care.
I think, Goodell needs to go for lying about Deflategate.
I second that motion.
He intentionally made up this crap because he hates Belichick and Brady and the Patriots. And he collaborated with ESPN and made up this garbage and took up a federal court case over it. It's ridiculous.
But we had the last laugh because we won the Super Bowl.
Bingo.
That's right. That's right. And Brady got to go to Italy and was nude sunbathing while the first 4 games were going on. All right. Well, guys, great show as usual. Enjoy the Super Bowl. I know I will. Looking forward to it. Should be a great game. But for all of us on HCAM Sports Talk, thank you all for watching. Take care. Be well. We'll catch you again next Wednesday at 2 p.m. and airing throughout the weekend. Of course, always available on our YouTube page, youtube.com/HCAMTV. Goodbye, everybody.